Okay, so in this section, we are learning to use linear equations in slope-intercept form. So in section 1, we found them, and now we're going to use them. So just wanted to review 3 vocabulary words with you. We have y-intercept, and um, I'm gonna use the y equals mx plus b form, which is slope-intercept form, to refer to this. Okay, so our y-intercept is the b that's in the equation. Our slope is the m, and then the form itself, so this way of writing an equation where y is by itself, it's called slope-intercept form. Okay. And in your textbook, they identify 3 key steps in writing an equation. So the first thing, you're always going to identify the slope, you are going to find the y-intercept, and then you're going to write the equation. So this is where this section is going to be a little different. In section 5.1, you were given the y-intercept, you didn't have to find it. Now you have to actually find it. So we're going to do a little bit of what we did in class last block. Okay, so we're going to continue numbering our skills throughout the year, so this is going to be skill number 6. If you remember, we left off at skill number 5 from the first lesson. Okay, so let me just double check. Perfect, skill number 6. Okay, so the skill number 6 is writing an equation of the line given a slope and a point on the line. So if you notice, we are no longer given the y-intercept. So what do we do? Well, we start with the slope-intercept form. So I always write down the form itself first. It helps me keep organized. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for the information that's given to me, and I'm going to substitute the values that are given in my equation. So I know that my slope is -4, so I'm going to think to myself, so that means that m is -4. And I'm going to substitute that in my equation. So this becomes -4, and I don't really know anything yet just yet. So that's the only thing. Now remember, we always have to find the slope and the y-intercept, and we don't know the y-intercept. We're trying to find it, and right now you have 3 unknowns. You have a y, an x, and a b. And in order for us to find the b, we only should have 1 unknown. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our point. Remember, this is the x and this is y, and we're going to replace them and substitute those values in my equation. So y is going to be 3, and x will be -1. Make sure that you're replacing the right things because that's a common mistake. Okay, my slope is still -4, and I'm still looking for the y-intercept, so I'm just going to keep it b. So now you have 1 equation and 1 unknown, so you can actually solve for it. Okay, so this is multiplication, so -4 times -1 is going to give me +4, so I get 3 is equal to +4 plus b, and since I'm trying to solve for b, I'm going to try to isolate it. So I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides, and I get my y-intercept to be -1. And that's it. You guys are done, because look at this. You have, I'm going to highlight the information that we have. I use this marker. So I have my slope here, and I have my b here, and that's all you need to know for your slope-intercept form. So my job is just to write the answer. So my answer is y equals -4x minus 1, and then you're done. That's it. Okay, so you're gonna try one on your own, and remember, if you forget what to do, you can always go back and rewatch this example. So this is your skill number 6. Make sure you write the work in your notebook, so if you got the wrong answer, we can go back and fix it tomorrow, or when I see you next block. Okay, so pause the video and do this example. Okay, so the next skill that we're going to cover is skill number 7, and it is writing an equation of the line given 2 points on a line. So what's different is it's going to get more complicated. What I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite slope-intercept form, and this is going to help me remember what it is I need to find. So what I need to find is I'm going to need to find the slope and the y-intercept. And if you notice, neither one is given to us, so we actually have to do more work here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find slope. Remember that the slope was y2 minus y1, so I'm going to connect my y's, and over x2 minus x1. Okay. Some of you like to number or label this, so feel free to do that. This is your x1, y1, x2, and y2. Okay. So it's going to be negative 1 minus 5 over 2 minus negative 2. And this is going to give me negative 6 over positive 4. And remember to always simplify your slope. And that's going to be my answer. Okay, so negative 3 over 2 is my answer. Okay, so we got our slope to be negative 3 halves, and then what we're going to do is we're going to follow the steps in our example 1. So I will replace my slope with negative 3 halves, and that's the only thing I know so far. So it's y equals negative 3 halves times x plus b. And again, I'm looking for the y-intercept, which is here, and I have 3 unknowns. So I can't solve for b, I need to replace some values. Now, I always encourage you guys to make your life easier, and if you can replace, substitute x and y with positive numbers, do that. But unfortunately, we have negative 2, 5 and negative 2, 1, or positive 2 and negative 1. I do think that I do think that 2, negative 1 is a little easier because the numbers are a tiny bit smaller. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to use this point. So I'm going to use 2 for x and negative 1 for y. So negative 1 for y here. My slope's going to stay the same. And my x will be 2. And then I still have plus b. Okay. So now before we do anything, I'm going to actually multiply this. So I have 3 halves, negative 3 halves multiplied by 2. So 2 and a half will cancel, and you get negative 3. So it's negative 1 equal to negative 3 plus b. So now I have one equation with one unknown, so I can solve for b. I'm going to try to get b by itself, so I'm going to add 3 to both sides. And you get 2. So you have all the information you need to write your equation. So I'm going to highlight again the information. We got y-intercept of 2, and we got slope of negative 3 halves, and that is all you need for your answer. Now remember that in the problem, it doesn't actually say you need slope-intercept form, so if you use a different form, you still would be correct. But that's my answer. And since we are on slope-intercept form, we'll stick to that form. Alright, so now it's your turn, so here is your try example, and make sure you work it out, show all the work, and good luck. Okay, so this is our last skill that we're going to cover in this video, and it's skill number 8. Write an equation of the line given 2 points on a line in function notation. So the difference here, so as you could see, they're getting harder and harder, is the function notation. So remember that it's f of x, so that number in the middle, or inside the parenthesis, is always the x. So your point is 4, 9, and this point here, that would correspond to this, is negative 4, negative 7. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to help you guys out. You are going to, okay, so if you're given this particular question that's not multiple choice, but you just had to find an equation, you would get to this point and you would follow the steps that we followed in example 2. You would find your slope, and then you would replace the x and a y, and you would find the y-intercept, and then you would write the equation. Now this is a multiple choice question, so I want you to use a different strategy. I want you to think about this. All you really have to do is choose a point, and I'll choose 4, 9 because it's both positive, and basically just check which one of these equations will will have 4, 9 on the line if you were to graph it. So literally all you're doing is you're substituting 4 for x, and you're checking which equation will give you 9 as an answer. Okay, so I want to know what is f of 4. So if I substitute x with 4, what kind of answer do I get? Well, for A, I get 18, which is obviously not 9, so that doesn't work. So then I would try B, and again, since I'm using 4, 9, I'm still using 4 for x value. And yeah, you got the right answer. So you can actually stop here, and that's going to be your answer, so B is the right choice. And what you can do to double check is you can actually use the other point just to make sure. So if you substitute x with -4, you should get -7. So I get -8 plus 1, which is -7, and that's exactly what I needed to be, so you know that you're good. Okay? Now on your try example, you actually have to do this from scratch, and it's not a multiple choice question, so I'm just going to give you a little hint. The first thing you will do is going to be writing the points, and then you'll follow the steps. Okay, so this is you try example number 8, and then once you're done with that, you're done. Just don't forget to type in your answers for me on this Google form that's on my website.